Hey guys, welcome. This is HD, and it is time for Game 4 here of the Grand Finals. Hope you guys have enjoyed this cast so far. That last game was absolutely spectacular. One of the best matches I've seen in a very long time because it was essentially watching Polt for about 10 minutes straight continue to drive that screw, that nail, that hammer deeper and deeper and deeper into Stephano, and Stephano just couldn't do anything about it. No matter how hard he tried to defend, no matter how many forces he mustered and how many times he slammed his army into the Terran forces, it just wasn't enough. And at the end of the day, it looks like Stephano is now out of one game, actually, not completely out of the tournament, but out one game. It is 2-1 in favor of Polt. And I do have to say, my friend just informed me that this was a best of 7 for the Grand Finals. So Assembly and ASUS decided to pit this last match as a best of 7 just to add that extra element of epic to it, which means that all Polt has to do is win 2 more, Stephano has to win 3 more in order to close this out and take home that $10,000 prize. Now, he has a supply depot coming up at the front, and he's most likely going to follow that up with the barracks. Nothing surprising there. The drone immediately making its way in. That is one of the earliest drones I've seen in a while. So Stephano is going to come in here with his drone right away just to do a little bit of harassing. And that's really annoying. Whenever you're a Terran and you see a drone coming in there like that, as soon as your barracks began to build, you know that you've got to stick one of your SCVs on that drone for until the drone goes away. So that's a lot of lost mining time here. And a very early scout from Stephano. Now he is going to follow that up with a hatchery. The nice thing here, though, that because he got the drone inside so quickly, is he's going to be able to keep it alive, and he's going to be able to scout out any type of 2 barracks play. If he sees some kind of weird 2 barracks play here to open things off with, then he'll know to get Zerg forces out immediately. But because he doesn't see anything yet, he's going to go ahead and go with that 15 hatchery, and he's going to, go with the 15 hatch, 15 pool, and he defended off of 2 barracks last game with this very same build order. So he did that very brilliantly, and we'll see if he can do it again if the Terran player decides to do that, but I don't think he will. It looks like Polt is going to go ahead and expand rather than throw down another barracks. So we are going to have on Shakura's Plateau, an expansion game here from both these sides, nothing aggressive as of yet. And speaking of Shakura's Plateau, the map win rate statistics are about 50%, dead even for Terran and Zerg. There really isn't that much sway on either side, and I think a lot of that comes down to the massive amount of games that have been played on this map. It's been around almost since the beta. And, with that large of a sample size and so many games played on it and so many revisions made since the original Shakura's Plateau, it really is a balanced map for Terran versus Zerg. And we do, of course, have that traditional bunker coming up, and traditionally being used, of course, to hopefully entice the Zerg to build more Zerglings and drones. But it looks like Stephano held that off without really any type of overcommitment at all. That was one of the easiest hold-offs of bunker pressure I've seen in a while, and Polt will run away with that Marine. Did not produce additional Marine zone. That's a difference. Usually, we see Polt making a bunch of Marines following up that bunker pressure, but this time only 1, and that is going to speed up his factory production and the command center. So he's going to have a little bit more SCVs as well, and I would imagine with 2 gases here. Interesting. So Polt not going for the traditional 1 gas, where we would see an amount of Hellions coming out of the reactored factory. Rather, he's going for 2 gases, and I wonder what direction he's going to take this extra surplus gas with. Let's see if Stephano decides to grab a 3rd or not. Usually Stephano does not grab the 3rd hatchery, as most Zergs do. Like I said before, he's more of a Zergling player. He's more of a I'll upgrade you rather than out-expand you. And I'll outmass you rather than out-expand you and out-drone you. So we'll see what option Stephano goes for, but most likely he's going to throw a macro hatch in the base and build up a large amount of Zerglings. But I'm still curious. Oh, wow, Stephano, you little booger goober. He ran up his Zergling into the factory as it came up and blocked the factory from landing down for a little bit. And did not get in there to see the double gas, so that's actually kind of big, because if he had, he would probably be able to, adjust his build accordingly. But I'm still very curious where Polt's going to take this extra gas, and I would imagine he's just going to rush more upgrades as a result. Don't see a starport or anything like that, so I don't think it's going to be a fast starport at the very least. And there is a macro command center coming up inside the main, so we do have a lot of expansions coming up from Polt here. And Polt, you know, interestingly going for 2 gas and going for the macro command center, so he's going to have a lot of advantages going for him here, assuming that Stephano does not make an attack happen. Stephano did lose control of the Xel'Naga Tower to the south and to the north, as more Hellions continue to reinforce the center of the map. Right now, Stephano, the Zerg player, focusing on getting the spine crawlers down and the creep spreaded. Polt moving out across the map with these 4 Hellions, meanwhile, and trying to, of course, recede the creep whenever possible. If you're a Terran player, it is so important to recede that creep and keep it in check. But there has been a Zergling that's been allowed to leak inside the natural. Polt cannot be happy about that, but he raises his supply depot immediately. Nice job right there, and keeps that Zergling from running in and scouting that macro CC. That's probably the largest part about keeping some type of a wall here, just so that they won't see the macro command center and know exactly what you're up to. So Polt, good job right there. And he's now working to recede the creep tumors. He actually saw this creep tumor before it went burrowed and invisible. So if Polt wanted to, he could be really crafty here, put a Hellion right there on the creep tumor, and then kill off his own Hellion or burn his own Hellion in the hopes of killing off the tumor. But I don't think he's going to do that, interestingly enough. So Polt not deciding to take an advantage there and kill off some of the tumors. Meanwhile, at home, working on getting more tanks. On the production tab for our Zerg player, we do have a Spire on the way. So that's interestingly, and Stephano also going to hide the Spire. So any comsat that were to drop inside the main or the natural, excuse me, will not most likely see that Spire, as it's being fed creep from an Overlord and the little dark area right here in the corner of the base. So that Spire is hidden, and usually Stephano does not go for Muta Baneling, but he is going to go for Muta Baneling this time around. However, the Banelings were scouted out by these initial Hellions at the front door. So I wonder now if Polt's going to pick up on that and realize, hey, Stephano is going for a conventional Muta Baneling style. Or and is he going to be able to get some missile turrets up, because he does have 2 engineering bays up, so I would imagine he's going to get some turrets up pretty soon here. Meanwhile, Zerglings are going to be able to surround these Hellions. Oh, what a trap! Oh, that was cute. Pushing the Hellions around the merry-go-round, and then the Banelings were waiting right there for the detonation. So that was very nice play, and Stephano absolutely going to take map control back in his favor. We do now have 7 Mutalisks on their way out of the hatcheries. Polt needs to get some missile turrets up. He absolutely desperately needs to get turret coverage up inside the main and natural right now, because there are 7 mutas on the way. And while he has an armory down, which means I would imagine the next queue in production here would be a Thor, I don't think, no, it's not a Thor, it's actually another siege tank. I still don't think this is a wise play at all to just completely forget missile turrets, because yes, while Stephano usually doesn't get mutas, what if he does? And right now he has mutas, and there is not enough anti-air coverage at all, and these mutas are going to completely catch the Terran player Polt off guard. The mutas are now inside the base, and Polt just dropped down all of his meals, but he needs to get some missile turrets up. Good grief! He's going to lose a ton of SCVs right now. I don't think he has enough Marines here. Bringing the Marines finally back. They do have Stimpak, thankfully, and so he will be able to ward away the Mutalisks. But wow, he just took some damage right there. About 8 SCVs going down, so nothing too huge. But meanwhile, also getting his pocket expansion under attack as the Zerglings, Banelings, and Mutas flood their way in. Some more SCVs getting tallied up on that casualty tab, now up to 13, and the command center may go down. It lifts off, so just at the very last second going to stay alive, but the mutas now, that's the advantage of going mutas, because if you attack a base, you can kill it off, and that orbital command is at 150 HP, but it is being repaired by the SCVs down below, so it is going to be kept alive. And that was super clutch. That if that had gone a little bit more south for Polt and he had lost his orbital command, that would have been one of those game-crushing blows that I don't think you can recover from. It's very hard to recover from. There is also a supply depot here which has halted in its production. It wants to be a supply depot, but it can't be yet because an SCV does not want to nurture it. These mutas are going to try to run in here and do a little bit more poking and prodding damage. Thankfully, there are some missile turrets now up at all the bases, I would imagine. Yes. There is 1 turret for every base, and that is enough to just kind of provide a temporary stopgap measure for Stephano's mutas. Meanwhile, if you're a Zerg player here, or you're looking from the Zerg perspective, Stephano has got to fly in here and do some damage. He's got to get more and more damage. The more, the better. The longer he waits, the more that Terran player macros up, and Polt, of course, building up on 3 bases. That's a scary thing. We've seen Polt survive on 3 bases for almost ever. Even 2 bases, he's been able to mount huge armies off of 2 bases, and it's almost seemingly impossible to stop him. Thankfully, Stephano is expanding down to the bottom right-hand corner, and he does have a lot of hatcheries. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, he's got 2 in the main, 2 in the natural, 1 at the third, 1 at the fourth, so he's got a total of 6 hatcheries right now. That's a lot of larvae being built up, and at any point he can bring out tons of them. In fact, only 7 larvae, but of course that larva number will continue to skyrocket once the Zerg player has maxed out. And surprisingly, Stephano's supply count not that high right now, so there it goes again. Polt's macro is just too damn good off of 3 bases. He is really skyrocketing right now, and I think some of that has to do with Stephano still not being able to do damage with these mutas. He did some, he did attack this pocket expansion, but he hasn't been able to inflict terminal damage, and now he's going to work on the reactors. There's 5 reactor cores here. Just call this little section the Marine Production Center. Of course, one of those being a starport, but damn, that's a lot of Marine production. About 10 barracks worth, I would say, for Polt. So 10 Marines at a time, and Stephano has got to figure out a way to deal with that. Gonna fly in there with these Mutalisks. I'm surprised he did not commit to picking off that turret. I think he had a window right there to kill off more Marines than he did. But he decides to fly away, and Polt's going to be able to live another day. Meanwhile, I'm actually a little surprised Polt hasn't brought some medevacs out to drop with. In fact, how many medevacs does he have on the field right now? Just 2, so medevac production pretty weak. 15 minutes, 16 minutes into the game. These mutas are still providing a threat in the air, though, and Polt has got to get rid of these mutas, man. They have been so annoying, and he's finally going to be able to ward them away, but they can always come back and strike again. I'm surprised that Polt really hasn't been aggressive at all this game, but it looks like it's about time. And now he's beginning to move out with his tanks onto the creep. A risky position nonetheless, but if he can drop some comsat and receive the tumor, that would be nice. So he's going to lose a tank at the front, and that was not good at all. 1 comsat going down right here as Polt moving out with his expeditionary force of Marines to pick off as many tumors as possible. Unfortunately, that comsat only caught 2 tumors, and now these Zerglings are going to catch these Marines unaware and off guard. Polt, luckily, they're catching a huge break. Did not lose more Marines than I thought he was going to. And it's going to be able to heal them back up again, but look at the Zergling numbers from Stephano. So Stephano is showing that he can go with whatever strategy he wants to, as long as he has 100 plus Zerglings, he's okay. And he did have 100 plus for a second there, now slamming everything into the Terran army. Oh my god, he's going to absolutely destroy everything here. And I don't think Polt is going to have anything left standing. He's just lost all of his Marines. The mutas just totally picked off the tanks, and Polt now has to retreat all the way back home. He's going to lose his command center easily. I'm surprised he doesn't have a Thor on the field. He's just got his first Thor on the way right now. So Stephano tech switching out to Muta Zergling Baneling for once, and it's worked out brilliantly for him. He just destroyed that entire Terran army at the middle of the map. And at least Polt has been able to secure something over at the third, but he's going to lose a Thor. He's just lost more Marines. Stephano is relentless, and he's going to continue to go for the jugular if he can get an opportunity to do so. He's now inside the main, and Polt, now the one who's scrambling. He is the one who's now scrambling for survival, unlike Stephano, who is the one who's scrambling for survival in the third game. In this fourth game, I think Stephano just, you know, sat back and thought for a second and thought to himself, how can I be the aggressor? I don't want to be the one sitting back and building a huge army. I want to attack, and mutas really are the key to that answer. So Polt is in a lot of trouble, and he did lose the third pocket orbital. That is such a terrible loss for Polt, and now he's got to figure out a way to muster up his army again. He's actually going to recycle the orbital command at the main, land it over at the third, and try to get some mining done, but he's got to worry about the attack happening right now in his forces. He might lose another Thor. No, he will not. He's going to be able to clean up the mutas. He's actually crushed up almost all the mutas, mincing them up into meat. Grounded meat, that is, and I don't know why there's another Spire coming up in the production tab. I'm trying to look and see if the first one went down, and it did not. Stephano is going to mass upgrade his mutas, and no doubt eventually going to use those upgrades for Broodlords, as he's got Hive Tech on the way. But he did just make a huge blunder at the Terran third. He lost almost all of his mutas on the map, only has 10 alive now, whereas earlier he had about 20. So those Thor numbers really starting to pack a huge punch, and oh, what the hell? Aha, that was nice. I didn't even know there was Road Banelings there because they were hidden under the bush as well. So Polt completely caught with some Burrowed Banelings, just lost a huge clump of Marines. That was really nice by Stephano. Don't see Stephano using Burrowed Banelings very often either, but he just did it to great effect right there. And I guess just kind of buying time because he doesn't want this impending Terran push to hit his hatcheries. He's going to be able to defend the pocket expansion down here as well. Yes, he will, but he's got to claim this center area because any player on Shakur's Plateau who can control the Xel'Naga towers has map control, can launch attacks to all the pocket expansions. Meanwhile, Stephano trying to pull attention from Polt here by distracting him and attacking his SCVs over at the pocket expansion once again. He's actually killed off 39 SCVs this entire conflict. Well done by Stephano's Mutalisks, and they're continuing to wreak havoc inside the Terran main. Gonna pick off key add-ons and buildings, and now being finally warded away by some of the Marines, but it looks like Polt making an attack here. He is in arm's reach of killing off this hatchery. The hatchery will be allowed to go up, so it can no longer be canceled. And Polt is just gonna drive it home, man. He's gonna kill off this hatchery easy peasy. No response from Stephano at all. And I'm still very surprised. Even though Polt, I feel like, is at an advantage right now, has great positioning, I'm surprised Polt has not used any drops this entire game. That's very unorthodox for most modern Terrans. But he is going to make an attack here once again with his Marines. Stephano's forces are huge, and he's got a great army right now, but he's choosing not to slam it into the tanks and Thors and Marines, which is a bit of a surprise. I definitely think Stephano has a large enough army here to do some damage. Perhaps maybe he's waiting for Brute Lords to come out. Yes, he is. He's banking up a ton of minerals and gas, and what his whole strategy, I suppose, is going to revolve around now is building up a large Broodlord army and then catching his opponents by surprise. He's got 5 Broodlords on the way, but Polt is all over it, man. Polt has got Vikings out on the production tab right now, so Polt is going to have the anti-air necessary to deal with Broodlords. Meanwhile, he's going to be able to pick off another hatchery down in the bottom right-hand corner. So 2 hatcheries picked off here, and now Stephano's hand has been forced. He has to engage. Thankfully, his Broodlords popped out, but almost all of them going down. Only 2 remain. He still slams most of his forces into the Terran forces, but I don't think he's going to be able to come out of this one a victor. Even though he's got 4 Brute Lords in the air, I don't know, man. That is not looking good at all. All Polt has to do now is pull back. He killed off 2 bases down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Although the drones were able to burrow for safety, so Polt, all he has to do is pull back and build up a Viking army, and he can crush Stephano now. Not sure why he's engaging into the Brute Lords. He doesn't have that many Vikings. In fact, no Vikings here. Now finally 2 coming into the fray, and I guess Polt just wants to drive it home right here, and Stephano calling the congrats. Polt takes another game off Stephano. So now the score is currently 3-1 in favor of Polt, and Polt is only 1 game away, ladies and gentlemen, from closing out this tournament. It has been a pleasure to bring this series to you guys, and we may very well be 1 game away unless Stephano can mount the comeback of the century. He is down 2 games. He's got to win the next 2 and then win out. He cannot afford to lose any more in order to win out this tournament and get that $10,000 prize. I'll see you guys in the next video. This is HD, signing up.